Now, we're in the middle of nowhere here, and I mean nowhere. But this is the funny thing, this. Coming up on the left is a pub called, I think it's the Wharf Tavern. It's either the Wharf Tavern or the Wharf Inn. I think it's the Wharf Tavern. And this just gets so busy, you wouldn't believe it. You go in and it's absolutely buzzing. So we're just going past now, and as you can see, caravans and that have taken to this place as well. So if you're out on your holidays and that, and having a relaxing time, I know that the pub will be very happy, because it's spend, spend, spend. I was right, it is called the Wharf Tavern. So that's it, that's the coming up to the Wharf Tavern. Like I say, middle of nowhere, nothing around. Once you get 100 yards away from here, there's nothing around. It's unbelievable. But it's certainly packed out. Well, it is when it's open. It's not open yet, but it does get absolutely jam-packed. A rural canal. Can't beat it. Cannot beat it. One of the rarities. Not your mile of lovely views and that, or 2 miles. Oh, this stretch of scenery is beautiful. It's continuous for mile after mile after mile after mile, and this is what makes the Shropshire Union one of our favourite canals. It's in our top 3, there's no doubt at all. Well, like I said, when we are out cruising, we don't fly around from place to place. We trundle very slowly from place to place and totally embrace what proper narrowboating is about. Now, if you like chocolate, I've got a little story to tell in a minute, which again, canals just drew industry to them, because this is another place called Knighton in the middle of nowhere, but a very, very famous company set up a milk evaporating plant here, and the company was called Cadbury's. So I have a feeling you might know that. And they, over 100 years ago, came up with a new chocolate bar, what they wanted to produce. And again, you'll have heard of this as well. It was called Dairy Milk, which is still as popular as ever today. But what this part of the business did was they got the sugar and the cocoa beans, and what they did then was they got the milk from the surrounding farms, and they had this milk evaporating plant here, and what they did, they made chocolate crumb. Now, chocolate crumb is a very stable and long-lasting ingredient what goes into making the chocolate bar. And what they did, they used to take the chocolate crumb from here to, and this will sound familiar as well, to the Birmingham and Worcester Canal, to a place called Bourneville. Now, if you like chocolate, you know what Bourneville is as well. That's a dark chocolate, so they got the name for Bourneville from the town of Bourneville. So, this place again, middle of nowhere, very famous, and it was a major reason why we have dairy milk today. And normally, we'll see in a minute, because the wharf's still here, there might be some very nice boats here, but sometimes they take these out on tour, as they say, and take them to various festivals. So as we go past, we'll find out if there's any here. But the original wharf is still left here. You know, and it looks like in its former glory. It's still all there. You could imagine them turning up with all the produce and then going off and getting this crumb to Bourneville. This actually only finished in 1961 and was a very famous boater who used to take it, called Chocolate Charlie, and he used to take it to Bourneville up to 1961. Now normally along here, underneath here, you've got these lovely boats, but like I said, they're out and about. So this little place here, when you're eating your bar of dairy milk, this little place in Knighton, in the middle of nowhere, had a great bearing on dairy milk chocolate, and no doubt the Bourneville, and much more over the years. Well, that's another little bit of info for you. Well, as we're going along now, many a boater won't even think about this, but this is coming up to Shebden Wharf. But this is a long embankment what didn't exist, and it's quite high, and you can't see much because the trees are up. But this was built many years ago, and what the canal company had to do was pay your farmers and people a heck of a lot of money, because this went through farmland and blocked all their views, because there's property quite low down. So as you can see, as we're going along, and you look as far as you can see going back there, all this is an embankment. And this was all new, this, when Telford and everybody was doing the canals. So this was all raised up twofold, what this did. One was, it was built for speed, and it was fast, as they say, because they didn't have locks. It could have so easily been, if it wasn't built for speed, it could have so easily been locking up and locking down. But as this canal, which I've told you before, which was the last major canal, this was like, in its heyday when it was made, this was like the M6 motorway. It linked things, and it linked things very quickly in the days gone by, in the Industrial Revolution. This was something new, and with the flyboats going up and down here, everything had speeded up in the canal world. It was still slow in our modern world, but in the canal world things were starting to speed up. And also what you've got to remember as well at this point is the railways were starting, so there was competition as well, even though for many years railway companies started to buy up canals as well, but for a time it was major competition. So something like this was very modern in the canal world. Well, what's next? We're past Shebden. The next thing, we have two options here. There's a very, very traditional, and it is a traditional boatman's pub called the Anchor, or we can go through to Norbury Junction, and on this particular trip we've picked Norbury Junction. And here's the Anchor, one of the most authentic pubs, if not the most authentic on any canal. Hiya. Alright.
Hiya. We had a good session last night.
Bet you did. Man, so did we at the Red Lion.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we had a good night as well, it was great.
Yeah, I'll see you, Mal.
Hiya.
Hey, Mal, where's your ponytail gone?
Oh, it's a long story.
Oh, my God.
The Scandinavian lady cut it off.
Oh dear me.
Hey, I bet that was painful. I think we must have known you 30 years, and I bet you've had that ponytail 30 years.
See ya. Ta.
See ya, Mal.
Well, we've just come through past the Anchor, and we know quite a few people there. We was having a talk with them. They're just saying they had they had a good session last night, and they'll be following it up again tonight, because they have these groups on, and I know that there's a lot of them going down there tonight to play some music, but that means that the Anchor will be absolutely jam-packed. So that's the reason we chose to carry on and stop off at Norbury Junction, because it'll be busy for moorings, but it'll be a bit quieter.
Oh, it's all go here, isn't it?
It is, as always.
It always is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, do we need
Terry Lurie's
diesel?
supposed to be down here today.
No, alright.
Oh, it's there, isn't he? Oh, it's all happening here. Ooh! Everybody's come. Hiya. See you again, Claire.
Well, Norbury Junction, like I say, it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's always busy. It's always another busy location for people to moor up at, because there's loads of different facilities and things, and I'll have a walk round and video a few bits and pieces when we have moored up as well. So many boaters. It's a real busy place, as you'll see when we do the filming, but so many boaters just moor up here, go, don't know anything about it. And this is another place with a huge amount of history, but I'll show you a selection of things, not just the history, but what's developed in a very small remote area. And this is just what happens now and then. Where we are, which is called Norbury Junction, it's just it's in the middle of nowhere again, but boy oh boy does it get busy. So we thought it'd be a good idea to stay today, and we'll video as much as possible for you and just show you what we like about the place as well. Well, we're just going to walk down to the junction now. We've moored up, and as you can see, if you look further down, it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's packed. Absolutely packed. This is a very, very popular spot, but I'll enjoy showing you this round here, because you can appreciate what goes on, and you might have an understanding as well of why on a rural canal in the middle of nowhere this is rather busy. Well, first of all, the number one thing to show you, this is the CRT maintenance yard. Now, in its heyday, when they opened something else I'm going to show you shortly, there was over 100 people working full time here when the canal was a proper working canal, and this is where a lot of the maintenance was carried out. And you see this big vessel here that goes out and about and gets filled with silt or trees they cut back or anything like that, but it used to be a lot busier than this. So this is the first thing I'm showing you. This is, as it is now, Canal and River Trust's Norbury Junction maintenance yard. Now over there, these are all moorings what boats have near the junction, and straight across, I'll just try to zoom in, you might be able to see there's a paint dock there, and they do all loads of other work, overplating, build new boats. So that's over there, so you've got like a boat builders, and they do all sorts of maintenance. So that's another thing, that's the second thing. We better get on to the next bit. Now, this one is me and my history. If you see down here now, all these boats now, these are all just moorings what they have, and it's private now. At the bottom, if I go down slowly, you see there's a dry dock. Now, if I back up, things are not what you all see here, and there's a little story here, and I better get this right. But this is how how Norbury Junction became Norbury Junction all those years ago, because this is the only part in water here of, and I'll say it right, the Newport Canal branch. And this was what the Birmingham to Liverpool Canal Company built to go to a unusual canal called the Shropshire Canal. Now the Shropshire Canal, which we're quite a way off at the moment, but this was the branch what was going to it. That was unusual in the fact that the locks, instead of being a maximum of 70 what the normal locks are, they were 80 foot, I think it was 80 foot, or might be 81 foot I think they were. And instead of being 7 foot wide, them locks down there, for reasons to that company, they were 6'7", so they wouldn't fit narrowboats. But they had an unusual boat called a tugboat, and they were 20 foot in length, and they were used on that isolated canal. But this branch went down eventually to that canal, and that on this part of the canal, the Newport branch, these were conventional narrowboats. So that was a bit unusual. But all this was abandoned, so they're like a lost canal, in 1944. So, and a lot of the as you go along now, a lot of this is all filled in. But they do have a restoration society who are trying to bring things back, which is always difficult, but like in one of my previous ones about the Sankey Canal, there's these sort of things going on everywhere. So you've now seen another important piece of history, and people just cruise past and don't think much of it. So this is the Newport Canal branch, and hence that is why the community round here built up. Without this, it wouldn't have happened. Right, I've come round here now. Now, along here as well, what's normally packed, there's an hire fleet, Anglo-Welsh. That's a couple of their boats over there, what are obviously not booked out. That's just those boats around there. They're part of the fleet. So it's got an hire fleet as well at this junction. Besides that, you can get water here, and you can get rid of all your rubbish and facilities, and you can also get fuel. On top of that, you've got a chandlery, as you can see, and over there as well there's a cafe, what a lot of people use. So as you can see, this is in the middle of nowhere. It's the little village of Norbury is about a mile away, but this is just absolutely manic. We're not finished yet, because we're going somewhere now, and I know for a fact I'm going to enjoy it, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm losing track now of everything what to show you, but we're going now for a beer and something to eat, and that is a boatman's pub what's been going for years and would not have existed but for the boatmans. That's the Junction Inn. During the season this is mega popular. It's nothing super posh, but I'll guarantee you lovely beer and really reasonably cooked nice food. So that is the Junction Inn, another boatman's pub. Just thought I'd show you our nice seat and our view out of the pub window, and I think it's time to order our beer and get something nice to eat. But we've not got a bad position here.